Hi everyone, my name is Mike Irvin and I am the Associate Home and Garden Editor for Sunset Magazine. And today I am in the hot and beautiful Sunset Test Garden up at Cornerstone in Sonoma. And this is a public garden, so you can always come visit our test gardens. Cornerstone Garden is open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Every day.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, so you can come out here and check everything out that we're going to talk about today. And mainly we're going to be talking about some unusual summer vegetables that we're growing that are all sort of in their peak production right now. But I'm glad to have with me here today Samantha Brown, who works for Cornerstone, and she is the gardener who looks after our test garden, maintains it. She brings down a super yummy harvest down to our office in Oakland, once or twice a month, which we greatly appreciate. And Sam, I don't know, we're underneath this hop plant, this beautiful hop plant. So this is a vine that you make beer out of, and it is sort of browning here, but it's super green over here, and it's just a beautiful ornamental plant. We don't really have enough here to start our own brewery or anything crazy like that, but it's just a great plant. It'll come back every year. So last winter we cut this guy down to the ground, and then it came back and covered this entire trellis. And so we can't make beer out of it, but Sam does some cool stuff with the hops. What do you do with the hops?
So I've harvested it at the green stage a little bit, not so browning. You dry it. I have done a tincture with it, and I've done some teas. So it's more of a sedative. It's a medicinal herb. For the tincture, I put it in alcohol, let it sit for about 5 weeks. Then use it with like 1 drop dosage in the evenings. It's sedative, calming, soothing, relaxing tea.
So if you have problems like falling asleep, or you're one of those people you get really worked up after work and you just need to calm down.
Yes.
Tincture, boom.
Yes.
Also really cool right here, and this is throughout the garden, we'll see more of it, but this is this flowering basil called Magic Mountain, and it is just covered in bees. And also, just people are scared of bees, but I can stick my hands in here, I can play around a little bit, and the bees, they'll take off, but they're not angry, they're not going to come and sting me. And this is a basil plant that you do from cuttings. So you could come through with a pair of clippers and cut this, put it in some water, let it develop some roots, and plant your own. Here in Sonoma in the winter, it often gets too cold and the frost will kill this guy back down to the ground. But if you live in a milder climate during the winter, this guy can overwinter. You might need to cut it back well before a frost would hit, but this guy will stick around. And we're going to go check out some veggies. So this is our farm area right here. So the garden is separated into rooms. The hops is the entrance to our cocktail room, but this is the farm. And so we have all these awesome, sort of unusual varieties of vegetables growing in here. We have more of this mountain magic basil. And if anyone's interested, this trellis is made by an artist and a sculpturist in LA, and their company is called Terra Trellis. And they make these really beautiful shapes and unusual sizes, and they do really, really good work. But also, you'll see on the sides of the garden here, we have sort of tea plants, herbs, and other things that will attract pollinators. Is there anything in here that you think is super cool, Sam? Either side you want to talk about?
I love it all. We have got lavender, purple basil, all of the different geraniums going on.
Yeah,
so
the scented
geraniums you can make with teas, great for summer drinks. And use hyssop, tarragon, sage, so we got a variety going from herbal teas to cooking to medicinal, so it's a great herb border around the garden.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff, and just really important for bringing bees and pollinators to the garden to pollinate all of our vegetables. And first we're going to start right over here with our Syrian peppers. Lots and lots of fun peppers in here. You can see that they are super ripe, they're really abundant. Sam brought some to the office last week. You must have brought at least 30?
Yeah,
tons
a few
of them.
Pounds of peppers probably.
Yeah. And there are a variety of different kinds in here. A lot of these I've never grown before, but the Aleppo is in here, which is sort of your classic, I guess you call it like almost a condiment pepper. People dry it out and they'll use it in cooking. And there's a mix in here of sweet and hot varieties, and most of these we got from a company called Ford's Fiery Foods, and they specialize in peppers. So lots of hot, sweet, amazing peppers. I think you can buy the fruit, the plants, and the seeds on that site. So if you're looking for them, Ford's Fiery Seeds. And even we've noticed when we brought these, one of our photography guys at Sunset was just, he loves hot peppers and he kept eating them. And even though some of them are supposed to be sweet, we found that they were all pretty hot. And have you found that too?
Yeah, a lot of people said when you start it, it's sweet and you keep going and it's hot, and some are sweet, some are hot. So I'm not a hot person, so I've kind of been cautious on the peppers.
Right.
But they've been tasty.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. So these are these amazing peppers. We can talk more about them, but I think they're just a beautiful plant. They also just look good. I mean, they're just bright, they're happy, they're looking great. But let's keep moving. Let's check out some other stuff. Unless you got something you want to bring up.
I just really love that Mesa peppers, they have the way they turn. They've got dual coloring, and some of them have been really maroon, so they've got great color.
Cool.
The Aleppo peppers, this one right over here, just for people to know. So we've gotten a few ripe ones, which is really exciting. These are all really rare heirloom. There you go. Yeah, there's sort of a big push to save a lot of Syrian peppers. There's been a conflict there for so long that people are concerned that these heirloom varieties might get lost. So there's a big push to grow them in California, in Turkey, other parts of the Mediterranean. So there's just like this big effort to not lose this special heirloom pepper. But what about this bean? You planted this bean. Yes,
what can you tell us about this guy? So
this one's called Thai Soldier. I interplanted it and kind of did a succession planting of beans. So I pulled the other ones that were in here. They were more of a bush bean type. So we've got this beautiful bean going now. It's a little bit of a climber, which was a little bit of a surprise, I'm not going to lie. But it's a long bean, so it's actually supposed to get even bigger than this. And it's got this beautiful purple striping on it, and I'm really excited to see what it does. Just gonna have a little crop, but it'll be a good one. And so what's the name of this again? Thai Soldier. Thai Soldier. And do you know what you do with them? How you cook with them? I'd saute them or steam them, something like that. Okay. But yeah. Fun. All right, let's keep moving. And again, so this is this super cool trellis made by Terra Trellis down in LA, Terra Trellis. So these are these tomato cages that we have set up here. They kind of look like eggs, and the tomato grows in them. And this is a variety called Blush. So good. It's my favorite one we're growing. How would you say they taste? Delicious. Delicious? I'm sold. They're a little bit sweet. I would definitely recommend trying one. They get a little bit of that pink tint when they're ready. Do you see one that's super ready? I like to say that one is. Right here? This one right here is probably the ripest. Oh, let's pick it. I'm going to eat it. One of them. I'm going to grab one from the other side. Oh, look at this. It's softer, but it's that is good. Yeah, really good, right? Yeah. That's what it looks like inside, and it's got sort of a bit of a pink striping on it there. And it's called Blush. Fun one. Good one. And then right here, prolific too. What do we got? What do we got here? What's this big sprawling mess of a plant? What is this guy right here? Over. This is the purple Tomatillo. So we are actually getting someone of size here, but they've actually come out really small. And they grow in husks, so the fruit is actually inside there, and it is a purple variety. Let me see if I can find one that might be ready. Super small here. But you see, ooh, look at that. It's purple. So this is one of the mini ones that have come, but they're actually sizing up now that the season's progressing. Yeah, and then how many tomatillo plants do you think a person needs? One, right? Just the one. Just the one. So this is just one plant. We're late in the summer, so this guy is sprawling. It is taken over. It is doing its thing. So you want to give it... I actually prune it back. Yeah, totally. Quite frequently. So. You want to give it some room to breathe, right? Yeah. And we've got some eggplants in here. Which one? Is that a Japanese eggplant? This is yes. It's the Pingtung Long variety. Okay. We have two on the other side as well. Mm-hmm. And then we also have all these herbs growing on the sides. Again, this is a way to bring pollinators and beneficial insects to your garden. They also look pretty. They also sort of soften the hard edge of a raised bed. And they're also delicious. Good things to have. And we've got oregano. And this is the dark lady basil. It trails on the side, which has been a really fun one. Cool. It is edible. It's more of a sweet one. You could do it for teas. I had it in a tea last night, actually, and I've also made a hydrosol with it. So that's a water-based instead of taking the essential oil. So experimenting with plants. So not one to make a pesto out of, though. No. But we do have that up front. Yeah. But not the purple pesto. All right.
And this is super exciting. I'm really excited about this bed right here. So these are all these different winter squash from Japan. And they are kind of, there's 3 different varieties in here, including, this is it called uchikiri?
Uchiki curry. It's known as a red curry.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So it's sort of, it's got that sort of nutty flavor, I think.
Chestnut is what it's described as.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then this guy right here
Is the fairy.
which I think should get a bit sort of greener and oranger, or is this kind of
I
ready
think
to
this
go?
it's been on the vine for quite a while, so
Right.
it's actually fading in tone, but they come out more green
Awesome.
in the beginning.
How would you guys cook these?
Oh, I would roast them. This one's really fun. You can cut it and stuff it, and it's really beautiful on to display like that. This one's traditionally used in curries. There is one, which is the one that the Buddhist priests use,
Yes.
which is really exciting, and a vegetarian style of cooking.
Right.
And then that one's over here, and that's really
There's
beautiful.
a big cool one hanging over the edge over here.
Yes. And it's got a beautiful, I don't know,
Oh, here it is. There's one right
oh,
here.
and there's one here too.
So this guy's almost black in color, sort of a
And that-
dark green.
That one's an unripe. I can show you on the other side. They get a tan when ripe.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as Sam was saying, this was traditionally used by Buddhist monks in Japan to make, I think, stews and soups and a bunch of vegetarian sort
Yeah.
of cooking.
Very
things.
simple. The style is said to bring you to enlightenment.
Ooh.
Part of the process. So
Fun.
I'd like to show you the really ripe one over here because the color is really beautiful.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah. So, and these
Super
are,
warty.
yes, warty ribbed
That's great.
heirloom Japanese pumpkin.
All right. Oh, and this is Dawn. Come on in here, Dawn, real quick.
Yay!
Dawn is what's your title? You're the general manager here at Cornerstone. Very involved in the garden as well, and oversees everything, and has a big job, which makes Sunset's job much easier. Both of these guys,
Yes.
we couldn't do it without them. We're going to keep going for another 5 minutes or so, but I want to point out these guys right here. What are these guys, Sam?
Okay, so the Tromponcino squash. So these ones are one of my favorite in the garden. You can harvest them at any stage. So if you can see a small green one on there, you can harvest it at that stage for a summer squash. And a lot of people stuff the flower with some goat cheese and maybe put it in the oven, do a little roast like that. And then you can leave it on the vine. This is still actually in its green stage. It's gonna get more like this, and then even harder skin like a winter squash, like a butternut squash color. And you're gonna cook that in the oven and roast it. So when they're young, it's more like a summer squash. And then as they progress, they get more like winter squash. So you can
Yeah, and these guys are great. I mean, they can just crawl over these trellises and then just hang. I've seen them in some gardens where they're just everywhere.
Everywhere.
And
Very
they can hang
prolific.
down to like my chin almost. I mean, they're enormous and they're
And
big
also
and beautiful.
on the squashes, the flowers are edible, so that's a really fun part. So if you're getting a lot of squash and you don't want that much, pick the flowers, stuff them. I always cut them up and put them in soups when I make the pumpkin soups as a topping and stuff.
Great.
So
Cool. And maybe our last thing we can talk about just are these sort of these gherkins,
Gherkins.
which I think are kind of fun. So we got 2 different kinds here. And then these ones are adorable. These guys right here. People call them mouse melons or
Cucamelons.
cucamelons, Mexican sour gherkins.
Yeah.
And you can get these guys from Baker Creek Seeds. And they are just delicious as is. You don't need to peel them. You can just pop them in your mouth. They have sort of a lemony, slightly lemony,
Sweet, lemony,
cucumber
yeah.
flavor. Kids love these. If you have these kids at your home, you want to entertain them, give them something to pick. These guys are great. It's also one in the winter. It'll die back. You can cut it down to the ground, get rid of all the brown stuff, and it'll pop back up for you the next year. And then there's this guy, which is also cool. I do not know how to eat this, but it's a West Indian
it's a
gherkin.
West Indian gherkin. They actually make a curry with it, so it's actually a cooking one.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's they'll do both. They'll pickle it. That's what it's most known for.
Right.
Is the Indian pickles, but they will also do a curry with it, which I found really fascinating.
Yeah, and they're super spiky, so this is one you don't want to just throw in your mouth. But I've opened them up and eaten them. They've got a bunch of seeds, and they taste okay.
Pretty seedy, yeah.
But I think they're mainly for cooking, I guess,
Pickling
or for pickling.
curries, yeah.
Yeah. So again,
That's it.
this is this Mountain Magic Basil. I think this is just beautiful. Don't be scared of bees. Bring the bees to the garden. and you should come to this garden. So this garden,
Come see
Cornerstone in Sonoma, open 10 to 5.
10 to 5, 7 days.
7 days a week. Come visit Sam. She's always out here. I also just want to mention that the garden was designed by Homestead Design Collective, which is a Bay Area landscaping company, and they do beautiful work too.
Yes.
So come visit. Thank you for watching. Thanks to Sam
Thank you.
for coming out here, and have a good day. Thank you.
Bye.